Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Golf Lovers United podcast. I am Golf Love UK, and this is my good friend, confidant, and all-round good fellow, pro golf critic. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well. It might take some convincing of other people that I'm as good as you say that I am. But
Look, people have to like your opinion, but you're a good person, so F them.
No, I appreciate that.
If they don't like you, they don't have to like your opinion.
That's
And
what
look,
I'm
I've said to you before, I think you can be at times bombastic, you can be a little bit antagonistic. You got a shade of Mr. Trump about you when you want to.
Well, I'll tell you guys,
Mrs. PG, as a human being, you're a really good human being.
Thank you. Mrs. PGC would completely agree with a lot of that stuff. She says that I'm the biggest troll that she knows. She also said in my astrology chart, there's a lot of that stuff. I'm not an expert on astrology stuff. I'm solely going by her opinion of my various things on my chart. So for what it's worth. So you can't blame me.
It's
blame my astrology. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Does it the fact that people still believe in that? Oh, I can't say that because people are going to go mental if I criticize it. But anyway,
there's more to it than you think. So I'll let her do a reading for you, and you'll be like, oh my god, I'm telling you, I was in the same boat you were a while ago, and then all of a sudden I became a believer. So for what's worth,
if she does it and it says Ben's got the ability to hit 5 beautiful irons in a row and then duff a wedge 6 foot, then I'm all on board.
That might be in there. You'll have to see inconsistency. That might be part of it. Yeah, you never know.
Good. Right. On that note, I just very quickly for the listeners and the viewers, I was in Spain for that power cut, the complete power outage. I have never experienced anything like it. So we had no electricity, no phones, no running water. Because obviously all running water is done by by water plants that got electric pumps that drive anything. So like there was no toilets. Like in our hotel, there were people filling cisterns with buckets of water from the swimming pool so that people could use the communal toilets and flush them. Like it was crazy. Like there was nothing you could do. But for the first 5 hours of it, I was on a golf course. I had no idea. Yeah, it was insane. And then every now and again, your phone reception came back for like 90 seconds. And we were literally 4 hours and 45-minute walk from our hotel. We're about an hour. About 40 minutes in a car from where we played golf. And so we're thinking we've got a 4 hour, 45-minute walk with our golf bags. Anyway, I'm on my phone. We're all panicking like crap. No idea what to do. Uber came to life. I managed to book an Uber. I booked it. And within 20 seconds of booking it, I lost my signal for 6 hours. Didn't get it back. The 6 of us were in a massive, like, big like van, like a multi-seater van, and we passed over. We gave up counting. We passed over 60 golfers walking with bags in the boiling hot Spanish afternoon heat, like 3 o'clock. God. People just like, it was horrific. But look, it's terrible. It was crazy. Played a couple of lovely courses. Played one that I think was a dog track that some people liked. But yeah, played Chaparral, which is amazing. Any UK listeners, I know the Americans don't come and play with Spanish golf. Any UK listeners, go and play Chaparral. Absolutely superb. And a course called Torre Quebrada, absolutely amazing. Get a chance to play those two. If you get a chance to play Al Horain, avoid it. It's a dog track. It's dangerous. Too many holes crossing next to each other, balls from different fairways on top of each other. The round took 5.5 hours. I'll give you an example. On the 11th hole, I had to wait to tee off in the 11th hole because players had overshot the par 3 on the 10th and come across the 18th. I then had to wait on the 11th before I could play my second shot because people from the 18th were across it. Like it was a dog track, so avoid that one. But Torre Quebrada, Torre Quebrada was absolutely superb, and Chaparral was the views and the vistas and Chaparral. So you get a chance to play either of those two, and you're going to Spain, and they're on your tour options from your tour provider. Go and check them out, Chaparral and Torre Quebrada. Anyway, that's that dealt with. Just for fun.
There's only like three courses in Spain that I really know. Most of them are from the professional golf world. I mean, Valderrama, obviously.
The thing is, and
Finca Courtesan.
Yeah, I know we can't do
Madrid.
I know we can't do it because you're only going to be over here for sort of a week this time. We'll play a bit of golf. You've got to bring your clubs this time. We'll go and play a few courses. I will see if I can get us over to Portrush to get on there because we know I've got the connection. Maybe we can get that done. But like Spain has got like anything from sort of 10 to 50 in the Spanish rankings, they're all basically 10 to 12. Do you know what I mean? They're all so good. I don't know how you tell them apart. The Spanish golf is absolutely elite. But yeah, day one felt like an absolute beast. Shot my handicap on a course I never played before. Felt absolutely brilliant. Was striping it. Day two, I lost 4 balls by the 7th hole.
Oh my God. That goes to the inconsistency I was telling. Yeah, it's just might just be part of the deal.
Yeah, day 3 shot 1 over my handicap, having had 12 cans of Copperberg the night before. So maybe get rid of the inconsistency by drinking too much cider. But fantastic trip away. But the power cut, Jay, was like nothing you've ever.
Yeah, no, it sounds a lot like Florida, the last hurricane that came through when I was living there. Like we had no power for almost 2 weeks. Like it was crazy, and it was just a nightmare. And that was one of the things that just made me realize, like,
yeah, you said that to me and Jerry when we were playing golf. That was the final straw for you going, look, I can't do a Florida anymore. There's loads of stuff you liked about it, but like,
no, the infrastructure was just so fragile because the hurricane wasn't even like that bad, and it was a whole thing. I don't want to back. I know a lot of our listeners are from Florida. Like I know a lot of people in Florida.
We had a great
time.
Not
for me.
We had a great time in Florida. You said there are things about Florida you do like, and I love Florida being on the East Coast. That's a huge benefit. Right, let's get into LIV. Do we want to go into the rumor I've heard first, or do we want to go into the players and how they perform first? Let's talk about the last tour. Let's talk about Bryson. What a win.
Yeah.
From man that's had 3 miserable Sundays in a row. The Masters didn't go to plan. Mexico didn't go to plan, and Miami.
No, it's been 3 in a row. Miami.
Miami, Mexico, and the Masters. None of those went to plan for him.
Like even Riyadh earlier in the year and International Series India, like he was right up there as well. Yeah. And it's just been kind of a story of the season for him. And I was starting to get a little nervous. I was talking with a bunch of LIV fans, and we all kind of came to the conclusion. Yeah, I mean, it's time for Bryson to get a win because like you don't want something like this lingering for too long. He closed really, really strong. Look, he shot 66 on Sunday, which is really great, even though Charles Howell beat him by 3, which is like unbelievable. The shooting 63. I did not see a 63 out there. Like just the conditions were starting to get really difficult. Like the greens were getting firmer. It was windy. And for those guys to shoot the scores that they did, it was really, really impressive on that last day. So yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to the Crushers. Shout out to, all the Crushers for really performing, coming to play that last day. Sunday Crushers are back. Bryson said it on the broadcast, and yeah, it's just exciting to see those guys play well. Like I love the Crushers. They're my second favorite team. Like I've said, and yeah, they really came to play, led by Bryson, who's just, I think this was really, really important for him. I think it's going to give him a boost for the rest of the year. And with the PGA Championship coming up, like he's going to be one of the top 2-3 favorites. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
The Crushers, hang on a second.
Yeah.
So
got to do it.
I just want to shout out obviously about Charles Howell as well. Charles Howell's had some injury issues. He's been fairly slow in coming back from that injury.
Yeah.
But what a performance today. Was it 8 or 9 under?
It's 9 under. It's 9 under with a bogey.
9 under.
Yeah, you bogeyed 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
9 under with a bogey, and you got to feel like
5 birdies in a row.
Yeah, that's one. That's got to be one of the best rounds in the history of LIV. 9 under with a bogey. I know Bryson, and there's been a couple of Bryson and Waco, but under the circumstances,
put it right up there with Lucas Herbert. Lucas Herbert at Chapultepec shooting 61, 10 under. Like I think it was like a comparable round. I haven't really dove into the stats yet. I'll have to double check. But yeah, I mean, it was one of the just looking at the dispersion of scores. Like I just think that it's going to be one of the top 5 to 6 rounds in LIV golf history.
Yeah, and also with the Crushers, I have seen some bad luck on a golf course. I messaged Barn earlier. You could hit that shot. I actually said to him, you could hit that shot 100,000 times and not manage to do that. I actually think you could have managed to do it 1,000,000 times. Hitting the flag you can do, but to hit the flag at that angle, at that pace, at that low point of the flag where it's got the most resistance and at that exact angle, and the ball, if the ball had been like 2 foot less rolling, it would have just nestled in that rough. in the fringe.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's crazy.
I that might be one of the cruelest, like that. I'm sure listeners and viewers can think of others, but that's got to be right up there with the cruelest breaks I've ever seen in golf. And
For
to
sure.
bounce back from that was great. So it was good to see the Crusher perform well. Also good to see Taylor Gooch come back to a bit of form. He's been so poor of late, and that's not being horrible. He has been poor of late by his standards.
No, he would admit it.
Yeah. And also,
because he's
sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Taylor Gooch considers himself to be an elite player. I think we all consider him to be a top 10 to 15 player on LIV, and he'll be the first to say he hasn't been playing like it.
No.
And now he's starting to creep up the standings a little bit. Like he's with this third place finish, kind of gets him into the top 20. So I think he's trending in the right direction, which is great to see. Because look, Smash they need Taylor Gooch to play at an elite level for Smash to sort of be in contention, and they finished second this week. And it's not a coincidence that it took Taylor Gooch shooting 14 under, finishing in third, in order for them to get there. So like they need to see more from Taylor Gooch. I was a little disappointed in a couple things that I saw from Smash, like Jason Kokrak the last day. He just really didn't show up. Like he shot, I think it was 77,
but it looked like he gave up a little bit. It looked like he was pissed off, and that was it.
No, that was he was the difference. Like looking at the breakdown, Gooch shot 66 on Sunday, Brooks shot 2 under, Graham shot 2 under, all solid scores, and then Kokrak shot 77, and Smash was in the lead for the majority of the day until he sort of kind of hit a little bit of a bogey train, and they wound up losing the Crushers. I mean, a significant margin. They lost by 9. If Kokrak shoots, 70, 69, they're like right there. They're right in it. So, like that's how, like when you have all 4 scores counting, like it doesn't matter if you have like 1 or 2 guys that are doing really well. Like you need every single guy on your team to come to play. Just like the Crushers, they didn't need anything spectacular from Honorbon or Paul Casey because they got something spectacular from Charles Howell, and they got something really, really great from Bryson. So all it took was Honorbon, just that like steady, even par the last day. Like that was enough to sort of keep his floor high so that he's not in that like 77, 78 category. And like everybody else, like Paul Casey, 67, Bryson 66, Charles Howell 63, and they were able to run away with it. So yeah, really solid Sunday. They sort of getting back to that Sunday Crushers mentality that Bryson talked about a little bit at the end. And Crushers are going to be a force the rest of the year for sure.
Just a couple of quick shout outs. Great to see Matty Wolf back. I know Matty is very openly struggle with some sort of mental health issues regarding golf and focus and other things, and Matt's been open about that. That's not me telling tales out of school. Matt's been open about that, but he has got. You talk about Gooch being a top 10, 15 player. Matty Wolf, for me, if every single person's playing their A game, everyone playing their A game, Matty Wolf's top 8, maybe top 10. He is absolutely one of the best players on LIV, and good to see him get a bit of form back.
He's an elite talent.
There's 2 other players who I really want to. Well done to Dickie Bland. He's aging like the best French wine in the world. But there's 2 people I want to shout out in a different way. One is Kazuma, who I call Jinky because Jin is his first name, and K I call him Jinky.
Yeah.
Like Jinky Kazuma, like that's what I've always called him. And but him to come back from that injury and finish tied 7th, and it wasn't a tied 7th with 1 great round and then some scratching around. It was a tied 7th with a 4 under, 2 under, 2 under, some solid golf. And he and Kevin Na really are the best 2 players in Ironheads. Ironheads are struggling. Danny Lee has been all at sea all season, and the Ironheads have just not been able to get anything going. And then the other person I want to shout out, and it's difficult for them because the Sticks get a lot of flack for some poor performances, and I get a lot of flack for being an Ian Poulter homer. Now, I'll be an Ian Poulter homer as long as I can draw breath for many reasons, but mostly the Ryder Cup, and secondly the amount of time he's always given us and how kind he's always been to us. But Pulse has come back today and his ability to play. He grinds. He's always on the internet practicing, sharing what he's doing. To finish tied 13th was amazing, and also gutting for him to make that double on 5, which was his fourth, is his third, it's the whole 3 from the back for him. He made a double on that, and I then had a little look at Poltz's scoring this year and where his rounds have gone awry, because I've actually spoken to you about this. And I was talking someone else, one of my mates from my golf tour was like, "Oh, Poltz is done, like Westy's done." They were talking about some of the players that aren't playing, and like I'm not going to. Look, Westy's a different story. There's other stuff going on, maybe with his game. I'm not as sure of that. But where I will be at Poltz is I've actually looked at his par 3 scoring, and that's where Poltz is killing himself this year. His par 3,
really?
Yeah. So I went through his par 3 scoring, and par 3s make up about 20% of the holes they play, and par 3s make up about nearly 50% of his drop shots.
Yeah, I mean that.
So he's dropping.
Ties into this where he made a double on the par.
Sorry, no. So it wasn't 50%. It's nearly 60%. I just looked at my number. Nearly 60% of his drop shots have been on par 3s this year. So there's obviously something going on there. I know. I think he's on his 3rd or 4th putter for the season. He's been very open about trying out different putters, and he's very open about trying out different gear. And he's been well known as a gearhead and a tester his entire life.
Yeah, of course.
So. I just wonder if maybe a few putter issues in the par 3s, but great to see him back, and
I agree.
With a little bit of life into the sticks. And the one person I know that you're a huge fan of, and you're a huge fan of his signing over to the 4 Aces, is Thomas Pieters. So do you want to speak a bit more of that? There's another great finish from Thomas Pieters. It's not like he's not set the world like this year, but he's done consistently well. In the sense that he's had 1, 2, 3, 4. He's had 5 finishes in the points. This is his highest. It's his first one in the top 10. But he does seem to be a player who's really sort of got a hold of his game. And you're a big Aces fan, so do you want to talk about Thomas Pieters?
For sure. Yeah. Just to wrap up the Ian Poulter thing first, though, because I think that it's worth reiterating. He was in the drop zone all season because he hadn't got any points all year. And this tied for a 13th got him back into the open zone, which is a huge, from all indications, the drop zone and relegation this year is actually going to mean something. So for him to get out of that and have a solid performance, get him out of the drop zone. Look, he's in 45th, so he's certainly not out of the danger zone just yet. However, I think we're going to hit a run of courses here towards the end of the year that are going to be good for him. So, and then obviously you got the home game at JCB that I think is going to play well out. So
I was sneakily having done a deep dive into Poltz and a deep dive into someone else who's going to get eviscerated, sadly. And I don't mean to kick a man while he's down, but Freddie Ketchup, turn this off now if you.
No, we got to be honest about it though. He has not been playing well. He's finished 51st.
But you know what? Poltz hasn't struggled at any long courses. I think Poltz is an older guy. Like Poltz has not struggled at long courses, so I'm not worried about it. Freddie Ketchup, he's dropped shots on par 3s and par 4s. He is
he's dropped shots everywhere.
Wait for this. He's the highest drop shots on par 5s by 4 shots.
Really? Huh.
Like, you shouldn't be dropping, and no disrespect, like in that when I was looking at it on my windows just shut, back open, in that I was including players like Ollie Schneidlins, who only played 2 events. I've included Wade, who played 2 events. I included Lee Westwood, who's on a bad season. Yubin Zhang, who's been pretty poor all year. Even amongst those, and Mito Pereira, even amongst those, and Brandon Grace, like Freddie Ketchup's par 5 scoring for a young man who hits the ball a mile has been absolutely awful, Jay.
Yeah, I think it goes to show you. I think one of the things that we kind of talked about was it was very clear he was kind of putting too much pressure on himself because, like, look, for a lot of these guys, getting to live is a once in a lifetime opportunity, like it really is. And I think he's putting a little bit of pressure on himself, and that usually shows itself a little bit on par 5s because it's like that's your opportunities to really score. And he just hasn't been doing it. Like and all year, like his best finished is tied for 30th in Mexico. So that's not going to get it done. He's failed to get any points. Kazuma comes back, he only plays 2 events, and he's already in 36th in the standings. So it goes to show you, like, some of these guys they know how to grind it out. They know how to grind through sort of tough rounds and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that is like sort of wily veterans, like knowing where to pick their spots and sort of getting at confidence. Like their confidence never wanes. And like Ian Poulter, even though he hasn't been playing well, his confidence is never going to wane.
He talks about like new guys and it's a chance for a lifetime. There's no one player for me who resembles more it's a chance for a lifetime than Max Lee. He won through the qualifiers. He isn't on a team. He basically knows unless he gets in the top 24, he's not going to stay on LIV. Highly unlikely, unless the rumor I've heard is true, which we'll talk about in a moment from what might happen. He's not going to ever be part of a team. But Max Lee's taken every opportunity. I know that Max Lee is only in 43rd, but he's got points, so he's not in the drop zone, and he's had 1, 2, 3 events where he's been outside the points by 1 shot. So if you put him in the points just on those 3 by just 1 shot, we're not talking 3 or 4. I did the maths, and that would have put him at 32. Sorry, not 32. Hang on, where are we? I got the 35. So to put him at 35. Now 35 is still not guaranteed to stay, but this is a young man who hits the ball not very far at all. You look at his numbers, Jay, and he and I are comparable, and I'm not a good golfer. You look at his yardages, and he and I are comparable. So like this is a guy
he's in that upper 160s ball speed.
So he's super accurate. His drivers. I looked at his driver yardages. His driver yardage is about 7-8 yards longer than me. Like we're not talking a big hitter by any stretch of imagination. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's getting every ounce of talent out of that. And then you've got Freddie Ketchup, who we've said about it, and you said, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, that the thing he's got to do is just try and enjoy himself. And I am worried that we're now in the middle of the season, the transfer window's open. I think 1 or 2 things are going to happen. So should we dive into the rumor?
Well, I want to, before we dive into that, I did want to have our little 4 Aces corner just because
do your 4 Aces corner.
We've been in or out
because Strider's waiting for this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, shout out Strider. Shout out here, guys, Strider. No, 4 Aces have definitely shown a lot of improvement, and honestly, a lot of that has to do with, I talk about the floor needs to be higher for some of these guys. Thomas Pieters has not really shown who he is really on LIV, and we're starting to see it this season. He finished tied 4th. He was right up there in contention in Korea. I think that he was playing really, really well. Like at one point he was like tied for the lead or a shot or 2 back. And we're starting to see some really good stuff from Thomas Pieters. Like he's starting to look confident because like I know when he came over in 2023, I think he's one of the players that had the most amount of sort of drama when he came over, just with sort of all the stuff going on with his agency and his management.
He got dumped by XL, didn't he? Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's been very candid that like he didn't like that. He didn't like the way he was treated going out the door. All that stuff we'll probably dive into that in more detail at a later time. But most people know the situation with XL Sports Management, and it's kind of a complete clown show. But I will say it took him.
Hang on. For those that don't know, let's do a 30-second recap. XL look after a number of players, including a Mr. Certain Woods. They're very close to him in their organisation. And also they look after a number of members of the media who have been very anti-LIV the whole time. So the no laying up guys.
No laying up.
They're very...
Let's just call it
it
is. Yeah.
They're very involved with XL. So there's been a concerted effort by players who are with XL or close to XL through other investments like Tiger and media like No Laying Up who are managed by XL. They've been very anti-LIV. And as soon as Thomas Pieters came across, he was dumped by XL management and was viscerally turned on by some members of the media for going across. So some people haven't listened to our podcast for the full 2 years.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
So I just thought I'd give that.
And to be clear, I want to name names. XL Sports Management, Mark Steinberg. People will probably know Mark Steinberg because he's managed Tiger basically his entire career. Like he was front and center at all of Tiger's transgressions and everything going on with him. And he basically runs like a lot of his business ventures. And that's basically who runs XIII Sports Management. They also manage a lot of players. You know, Justin Rose is another one that they manage. But they've been very anti-LIV from the very beginning on this. It's very, very clear. Anybody on their roster that has any sort of flirtation with LIV Golf, they basically completely dumped. Thomas Peters won. Our guy Ben Baller has talked about it a lot. He was managed by XIII for a while, and he started doing more stuff with LIV. Like he started doing the designing of the championship rings and stuff like that. And once he started doing that, like he started losing opportunities, and part of it was driven by XIII. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and it's part of the reason why I've been so anti Mark Steinberg, Steiny, and XIII is because I know what they're doing behind the scenes. I know how anti-LIV they've been and are, and it's something that like really, really bothers me because there's no reason for them to do it. It's like there's these little things behind the scenes that are causing this rift in the golf world where like if certain people weren't involved, certain entities were removed from the equation, we would be living in a much more blended golf world. And because certain people have more of an influence and they've been very anti-LIV, they've been encouraging this division from the beginning, they're the people who are the actual problem. So I want them removed. I want them taken out of the equation. It remains to be seen if that's actually going to happen. However, yeah, like I could spend 2 hours talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff, but going back to Thomas Peters, I think he's playing really well now. Finished 4th in Korea. He was 15th in Mexico. Like he's been trending as the year has gone on. I feel like he's one of those guys that kind of needs to play a little bit more too. Like I think we're going to see him a little more on the European Tour schedule, kind of in the summer, sort of fall, late summer. Like I think we're going to see more from him, which I think is really good because he's a super talented player. Like there were people when he joined LIV saying that he was a top 5 talent on LIV. Like I didn't agree with that. However, I think that he's a really, really solid player. And for him to be either the 3rd or 4th player on the Aces is a huge, huge deal for the Aces. So shout out to him. Shout out to Harold Varner. Harold Varner's been playing much, much better this season. So Thomas Peters is 24th in the standings. Harold Varner is right there, 23rd in the standings.
Night and day. Let's give HV3 his props because you and I are both.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
We've been critical of him.
I can't. Yeah, sure. We have been. I can't remember the exact words you said, but I think you basically said he's got to
black on black crime. Yeah,
yeah. You said it's black on black crime, but you actually said you got to put up or shut up now. That last event of the year, you like you either get on with it or stop chatting.
It was time. And I think he's been open about it. Like he had a rough year last year, kind of in his personal life. Like some of that stuff was sort of self-inflicted. Like he'll be the first to admit it. However, I think that he's found a little bit of a stasis in his life. I think that is translated onto the golf course. I think him having Thomas Peters on this team is actually a really good thing for him too. Like those two are pretty close. I think Thomas Peters brings the best out of Harold Varner and vice versa. And we saw that on the Range Goats 2 years ago when Harold Varner had, was really solid year where he was, top 7 or 8 in the standings. So I think we're starting to see more of that from Harold Varner. Yes, he had a tough week in Korea for sure. I mean, he finished 52nd. However, he's had a couple top 10s. Like he's been in the points the majority of the time this year. He's 23rd in the standings. Him and Patrick Reed have been ascending as the year has sort of gone on. Patrick Reed, 14th in the standings. Like we saw him at the Masters. Like he's got that look in his eye. Like he's got his confidence. He won last year on the Asian Tour, Hong Kong Open. Like he's getting, and he finished 3rd in the Masters. So, and this past week he finished tied 4th at Korea too. So he's playing well on a lot of different courses. He's probably going to be in all 3 of the remaining majors this year, which I know is something that's like important to him, and it sort of gets him like it gets him amped up, like it gets him like ready for the rest of the year. So we're starting to see really good play from him. And then DJ still kind of lying in the weeds in 28th, except there's signs of life from DJ. I just need to see a little bit more consistency from him. He's had a couple little
DJ's got the similar problem to Poltz. DJ's putting 2 good rounds together and then 1 bad one. Like, and it's a killer. It's a killer. And people talk about the LIV format of 3 rounds versus 4. In 4 rounds, you can have a bad one, and still, and then have another good one, and end up in the top 8, 9, 10. Like, you can do that. In 3 rounds, you cannot have a bad one. You can have a not great one, but you can't have a bad one. So
yeah, and he's another one that's had just a couple holes here and there, like we saw it at the Masters too, where he was right in the mix, and then he makes an untimely double and a bogey, and then all of a sudden he's missing the cut. Like, it's been a lot of the same stuff on LIV. Like, he's been in contention, and then there'll just be an untimely double or like a bogey on a par 5.
Big shout out then to a friend of the show who's actually DJ's coach, Claude Harmon. I was listening to Claude's podcast. The 3 best golf podcasts for me are ours. I absolutely love Claude's. I love Claude's golf podcast.
Yes.
And then
I agree.
Where are we with the other one? I love Hack It Out. I look, excluding your issues with that you fall out with what's his name, it's still a fantastic golf podcast.
Yeah. Let's call him out. Yeah. Call him by name.
I like Lou. I get on with Lou. Lou and I have exchanged messages where Lou's actually sent me a message going, what's wrong with your mate? And I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with him. Like, you're just falling out. You're just arguing with each other. Like, actually, if you two play golf together. Thing is, all jokes aside, if you two actually play golf together or spent time together, having listened to his podcast religiously, it's one of the 3 I listen to all the time. You two would get on great, just because, like, you both love gear, you both love stats, you both love golf, you both love proving people wrong. When someone says ridiculously, like, well, if my proximity to the hole was this, and this, you're going to go, well, that's pros don't do that. You're both very similar in the way that you deconstruct arguments against other people.
The data stuff, I completely agree with you there. My problems with him have been more related to LIV and his feelings about Saudi that are very uneducated. Those are some of the reasons why I get into it with people about LIV and about everything around it. And when I try to educate people about some of that stuff, that's when, like, I start to sort of tear down some of these narratives that they have in their head. And it's mind blowing for a lot of people when they start to really find out the truth. So he's one of those people that I've gotten into it. It's fine. I haven't talked to him in a while. I'm sure if we sat down and talked, it would be a little bit better. But until that happens, I'm still going to have my problems with them. So go ahead.
Their podcast is fantastic. I love it. They do so if you don't listen to Hack It Out, go listen to their podcast. Like, they do a couple a week, but they do one every single Saturday, which is called the Saturday Stat. And I absolutely love it, where they'll ask 2 or 3 questions and you've got how far are you away yardage, percentage wise or points wise. Like, if you are 150 yards in the rough, what percentage chance have you got putting it within 35 foot for a scratch, for a 10 and a 20 handicap, whatever. They do that type of stuff, and they talk about that and common misconceptions, all that type of stuff. Anyway, what I was saying is,
look, his stats are great.
Yeah,
Lou Stagner's stats are very, very solid.
What I was saying was about Claude. Claude, he's talked about DJ. He wasn't talking about DJ. He was talking about, do you try to make a putt or not miss a putt? And he was alluding about working with a player recently who's had a run of poor form and not played very well, who was before that quite good. And there's only a couple of players in my mind that fits into. Could be Max Homer. He didn't say who it was, and I don't know who it was, but he was saying who it could. He was saying with this player, and he was actually talking about what he did. This player said, "I want you to stop thinking about your stroke. I want you to stop trying to not miss a putt. I just want you to get the ball in." So from 4 foot, just getting in, 6 foot, 5 foot getting in, 6 foot, just get it in. And I do wonder, looking at DJ, he's changed putters a couple of times. He's now got his own putter thing going on with Bryson and LA Golf. There's a couple of things to me that just say, is DJ overthinking his putting? And I know DJ's one of these guys, they say, oh, he forgets about a bad shot. Now, I do get that. But I'm watching DJ, and if you'd said to me 2 years ago, who's the best lag putter in golf? Not best putt from inside 10 foot or 12 foot. Hello, Cam Smith.
I've got one name in mind. I'd say Brooks, honestly. Brooks is really good he's underrated at lag.
But DJ, for me, for his entire career, put him at 40 foot, he's put it into a trash can lid or a dustbin lid, depending if you're this side of the pond or your side. And I've been watching him of late, and the 35, 40 footer is finishing 6 foot from the hole, 5.5 foot from the hole, 7 foot from the hole, leaving himself missable pars to the odd giving the odd bogey, and maybe not making quite as many birdies on the par fives where he's got the distance. So it's interesting watching players, and they all hit the odd wild shot, but it does seem to me to be putting might be DJ's issue, but that's a separate story. But I just want to share that story from Claude about
whenever
there are too many people don't try to make a putt, they just try to not miss it, and they get in their own head. He said, as soon as you start missing a putt, and he told a story about Brad Faxon, and Brad Faxon, he said, Brad, what do you do when you putt? He said, as soon as I get over the ball, if I'm not thinking about the ball going in the hole, and I'm thinking about my stroke, he said, I get up. He said, I come out of my stance. He said, if I'm thinking about my technique or my stroke, I get up. And I'm watching so many players today, having listened to Claude say that, and go, Christ, it looks like so many of them are thinking about their stroke. And it's just so interesting.
I think some of it is just the confidence factor, particularly with DJ, because he's been switching in and out of the spider and the lab putter all year. And it's like, that alone is an indicator. And Brooks talked about it last year where, he was experimenting with a different type of Scotty camera. It's the one that Justin Thomas uses, like the one that has a little bit more of a mallet style. And then at the end of the year, he was like, what am I doing? I need to go back to my old faithful. And then all of a sudden, when he started going back to that putter, his performance started to improve a little bit. I just think when a lot of these guys, they have sort of a little bit of loss of confidence in whatever club that it is. Some for some it's the driver, some it's the putter, some it's the mid to long iron, some of them it's fairway woods, whatever it is. Some of it's wedges. Rory's probably more the wedges than the putting. Like when you lose confidence, it just sort of it shows itself in trying to tinker and like trying new things, and instead of going to like what's worked for you in the past. Like I've heard DJ and his caddy, his brother Austin, talk about, like Austin said, I'm never letting you get rid of that spider putter because it's been so good to you. Like he won the Masters with it, like he's won 1 million tournaments with it. Except just when you start to lose confidence with like any club, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe I want to try something else. So I would love to see him just like, it doesn't matter which one it is. He just needs to stick with one the rest of the year, and he starts to have good results with it. Like the rest of his game's going to come, because his long game is fine. Like, yes, he probably has to clean up a couple things, just like the odd bogey on a par 5 or the odd double that just kind of comes out of nowhere that takes him out of contention. We've seen that happen twice this year with him in Miami, where he was right up kind of at the top. And then I think that was Singapore. He was right up there as well. So I think we're going to continue to see, improved play as DJ goes on through the year. Like that was been my prediction from the beginning. I thought we were going to see some improved play in the majors. Hopefully he gets in the PGA Championship. Like people don't know this, but Dustin Johnson, because of some sort of weird loophole in the rules, is not in the PGA this year yet. He, if he's going to get in, he needs to get a special invite, which sounds like it may be coming here in the next few days, TBD. But like, I want to see him play in all the majors. Like, I think we're actually going back to Oakmont for the U.S. Open, where he won his U.S. Open 9 years ago. He's obviously got a lot of confidence there. So yeah, I just want to see DJ come to a resolution with his putter in his bag, and I think just start building confidence, and the rest will come. But yeah, shout out to the Aces though. Like, they had such a bad year last year.
Aces corner's now in a dead end, right?
Aces corner's over, but shout out for Aces. Shout out extracurricular because they may be a sponsor.
When's that gear coming?
Oh, I already got plenty of. Like, you get all your pink stuff already that I haven't gotten any. I've gotten a bunch of extracurricular stuff, and you haven't gotten any.
All right,
that's just how it is. So.
Okay, quick shout out to Ping. Love their gear. Wearing another one now. That Ping Anza putt. You talk about putter confidence. I've had 3 different putters off Ping. Tried them all, and I've gone to a blade, which I never thought I'd go to. There was never a blade putter. I'm now with a blade.
Yeah,
I love it. It's just got me confident. I just feel confident rolling it. So Ping Anza 30 PLD. Go check it out. Anyway, right, that's the ping corner. Should we do a quick ad read or not?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
ShotScope. Head over to shotscope.com and use Golf Lover at checkout. That's Golf Lover at checkout for 15% off all of your scoping needs, be it a rangefinder. Oh, look at that. It's a good bit of kit, isn't it? Have you got it? Have you started have you used it in the wild yet?
Yes, I have.
It's really good.
Great.
And the combination of having the rangefinder with, I call it a pebble, like the little Apple Watch, but just
GPS. Mm-hmm.
Having those two combined is amazing. Because I maybe use the GPS 6 times around because I just want to know like a cover distance or a layup distance. I only use it 6-7 times around maybe because normally I'm zapping a flag because I'm just too aggressive. I got to touch the Joaquin Niemanns at the Masters. Well, I
let you have
like
somebody
Augusta all the time. It's always too aggressive. I've always got my foot down on the floor.
Unless you have somebody switch out your measuring from yards to meters, like what happened to Phil Mickelson and Grant Horvat in their video with Josh Allen and John Rahm. If they had that GPS, the Buffalo Bills, you couldn't switch it out. Like you couldn't, you couldn't pull the trick on them. So, but no, I like the GPS. I love the slope feature too because I've never had a rangefinder that actually had slope before, and it's made a difference because I start lasering things and I'm like, oh, that's a much bigger slope than I thought it was. So it's definitely a huge help. Obviously, you can't use slope in tournaments. I'm not playing any tournaments yet for another couple weeks, but it's been great getting in the bag. Yeah, shout out ShotScope. You guys have been doing a great job. So
Golf Lover at checkout for 15% off your shot scoping needs. So hopefully now, if anyone tried to do the skip 30, they're still in the Shot Scope Golf Lover ad read, right?
The best part about these ad reads, unlike other podcasts out there that will remain nameless, we're actually passionate about a lot of the things that we use, like ping, like Shot Scope, like extracurricular, like Form Wellness. Shout out Form Wellness too.
If you're willing to have an alcohol sponsor, we'd have another one.
No alcohol, no gambling. Outside of that, we're good. So no CBD too. No, not doing it.
We got an alcohol sponsor who was happy to sponsor. Like Jay won't do it, and they're like, oh okay. I might just have got some free stuff off them anyway. You might see a putting video coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks with me putting around some tins of margarita mix. So just in case anyone wants to know where that's come from.
I mean, honestly, as much as I want this podcast to be fully funded, I would rather pay for my own travel and stuff like that. And I don't have anything against alcohol. It's just me personally. So
I've never objected to it. I understand that in the same way that I couldn't have a sponsor who's linked to Liverpool Football Club. I can't have my brother-in-law's football team, anything involved with this. I've had nothing but Liverpool for the last like 8-9 weeks off him. Honestly, I know you've met him. I can't have any more of it. Right. So
we can't have any PJ Tour sponsors too. So that's kind of another story.
But also, we don't need it with all that money LIV keep giving us. Apparently, you and I don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I get somebody that tries to convince me about that every week, and I'm like, am I missing?
I had someone.
Where's my account?
I had someone say to me about 6 weeks ago, I've been told by a reliable source that you're getting £1,500 a month off LIV. I'm like, if I am, if that's true, please, for the love of God, tell me where it's stored because I've not seen any of it. Because if I am, that's 2.5 years of backdated cash I'd love to see.
I know. Yeah, it's like look, we've been very honest and transparent. Like we'll get the occasional free gear here and there. Like, you know, I got my Aces stuff. That was more extracurricular, not really live golf. My dad is begging me for free LIV stuff all the time. I'm like, Dad, you're gonna have to purchase some of the stuff. Like, I don't get that much free stuff.
My mate said to me, he said, "Oh, can you get me one of those really nice cleats jumpers?" I went, "No, I quite like a nice cleats jumper. I like they're like $125. I don't get that.
Just buy one. Yeah, just buy one. People need to be supporting. If you like LIV the way you want, like we're very grateful for some of the free stuff that we get. However, for every free thing, I probably purchased 2, 3, 4 things in the shop. So everybody needs to support that.
Someone said to me, how much money and free stuff do you reckon you've had out of LIV? And I was like, when I'm at events covering them, I get my food, but every member of the media gets their food. I get free
Food's
parking, but and it's great. Every member
that might be worth it.
Every member of the media gets free parking, and I was trying to think of anything I've had that no one else gets off LIV, and the only thing I had was when I went to Saudi. They organised and paid for my transfers from the airport to the hotel.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it.
Nice.
Which is what?
Yeah,
the $200.
More than I've got.
But you know, that's it.
More than I've got.
But that's all I've had, and that's all I've had. And I'm like, so I've been told by a reliable source. So if anyone else knows where this £1,500
reliable source,
yeah, like if anyone knows this £1,500 a month's gone, firstly tell me and don't tell my wife so I can keep it. Right, we spoke about cliques just quickly. Go on.
Okay, go on.
Last one we're going to cliques because I eviscerate the cliques.
No, yeah, cliques have been they've been having a little bit of a tough time.
Let me rip them apart fairly.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Outside of Richard Bland, in the last 5 events, the other 3 players have been in the points twice. 2.
It's bad.
Freddie's never been there.
Yeah, he's out to sea, like you said.
And 2 from China. What was it from Moronk? Let me just double check Moronk. Yeah. So
I mean, look, Moronk won an event, so he's like exempted from criticism basically the whole year.
But is he, Jay? Is he? Like, I'm going to be brutal. So he got first in the first event. He got points in the second event. He hasn't had a finish above 32nd since then. So he hasn't had a finish above 32nd, and
Fair.
1, 2, 3 of those have been below 40th. And you look at Martin Keimer, and Martin Keimer's had 1 in the points. Oh, sorry, it wasn't 2 in the points. It was 1 in the points. So in the last 5 events, the other 3 guys have had 1 finish in the points. I don't like to say that people need to go, but if we want this league to be competitive, 1 or 2 things going to happen in this transfer window. So here comes the rumor. I've been told by 2 different people, and this could be complete nonsense if it happens this year, but it could happen this year. You think you said you think it's going to happen for next year. What I'm about to say.
Yeah, I mean, I was more optimistic like a few weeks ago, and after Miami, I was less optimistic, and I thought it was going to be next year. So
yeah. So I've been told that the reason they played the new format with starting times for this Sunday, was because they were doing their final test of how they can have 60 players, which means 20 groups, on the final day. People go, oh, what do you mean?
Makes sense.
Well, are they going to bring in 2 new teams in the transfer window, or are they going to bomb out a couple of players? So the 2 new teams, how would the 2 new teams work? Well, they'd only need to bring in 6 players because they've already got Max Lee and they've already got AK. So they need to bring in 6 players, and they'd have 15 teams of 4.
Yeah,
I've been told,
and they got some other guys kind of on the periphery, like Catlin and Ollie Schneiderlins.
They can make it up with Catlin, Ollie Schneiderlins, and a couple others. Whatever they need to do. Wade Ormsby. They've got 3 players there. They need to find 3 more, and I dare say they'll be able to find 3 more. Like, one who seems obvious to me is Ballester. Like, he obviously should be coming in. Like, but anyway,
for sure. Yeah.
So I've been told they're 100% going to 60 players. And 2 of the people have said to me they think it's going to happen in this transfer window. I, like you, had no faith in that happening this early.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2 things going to happen, in my opinion, this transfer window. They're either going to restructure some of the teams, which could see Hatton going to the Sticks and Stenson going to the Cliques, bomb out Freddie, and then obviously Ram needs a player. Does he get Ballester? Something like that. Who knows what might happen there?
Yeah,
but
Lee Westwood, that's kind of one.
Well,
down there.
I don't think Westy goes anywhere. I think he's a captain. It's his last year.
It's probably his last year, if I had to guess.
It's his last year in his contract, so it'd be very difficult to do that. He's in the drop zone.
I agree.
But are they going to bring in 2 new teams now? In 3 weeks, for 3 weeks' time, or are they going to just tweak things and get rid of a couple of people? Because what we can't have that bottom of that leaderboard where the cliques and I'm not just picking on the cliques. Look, the sticks have got things to address. They know that, and we've discussed them. But you've got the cliques, and you've got Ironheads. Ironheads absolutely rock bottom. They did well in the team championship, so they maybe a bit of a pass. And then outside
they have
of
Kazuma most of the year, so gotta give them a little bit of time.
Outside of Smash's second place finish today, you could have lumped Smash into that, because Smash were languishing on sort of 7-8 points. So like, there's a lot of things there to be looked at. What do you think genuinely about two new teams coming in this transfer season, or is it more a restructure of players you're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, look, the other thing people have to think about, something that we've talked about on this podcast, was there's some contract stuff going on with some of the players and the equipment stuff. Like, we've talked a little bit about Terrell Hatton, obviously, with his sort of ping situation, and Callaway being the sponsor of Legion, like that. It seems to me that that's a situation that needs to be resolved, and it's pretty clear Terrell Hatton's not willing to switch equipment. And it's pretty clear that he loves ping. So, I mean, and it's very clear Callaway wants their entire Legion team to be Callaway, to be playing Callaway. So obviously that says that something has to happen there. So can I see a situation where Terrell Hatton is moved to another team mid-season? Yes. I still think the most likely scenario is that's something that happens during the offseason, just because, I mean, even though, yes, it's a 4 to 5 week window, and there's a lot of things that can happen, like as we've seen in the past with Legion. Like they basically started that whole team and spun that up within 5-6 weeks. So, and it was a very, very the process was pretty quick overall. Like, John obviously signed on in December, Terrell and Caleb signed up in January, and they were teeing it off end of January or early February. So the precedent is there to how fast things can happen. I just feel like, from the folks that I talk to, I feel like if that were to happen now, I would have heard that things are in the works. Now, not that being said, some things have been in the works for a while. Don't get me wrong.
I didn't think a mid-season adding two teams was happening either, but when I'm being told the reason they did that shift this Sunday was, and the words were used, and I sent you the message, the words used were final test for 60 players. Well, if you're doing your final test, you're doing it week 12 and 13. Why would your final test be week 7? That's all I'm saying on it, Jay. Like, so I was completely on your side. I completely agreed. Oh, they're not going to go to 60 next year. They'll just do a bit of a restructure. They'll just do a bit of a rejig. It was the presence of the word final test, ready for the two. No, and the words were ready for the two new teams. Well, for me, you'd just do that in week 12 or 13, wouldn't you? That doesn't mean it's happening. Because I'm just saying.
No, I get it.
I get it. No. It's odd verbiage.
That logic is fine. That logic is sound, and I get it. Except it could be a final test, and still, it means, hey, we have tested it now sufficiently enough that, like, we know how to do this, and then it doesn't happen until the end of the year. That could be part of it. The other thing is the staggered shotgun. In addition to having the three groups in the final day going off 1, they also had the staggered shotgun off of 10 too. So now you've basically got, they've been testing, and that they started testing in Mexico last week. So there was a lot of things. There's a lot of these little things going on people need to pay attention to, for sure.
That's just what's making me feel it. The staggered shotgun in Mexico on the par 5 to obviously create a bit of distance. It was easy to stag on a par 5. What I know you again, your logic could be saying you can do it now so you're ready for next year. But it just seems they've done 2 different staggers when they didn't need to, right before the mid-season break. And the words final test, ready for the 2 new teams. It could mean ready for the 2 new teams next year. It could mean they're coming now. The only issue with using the current crop of players that are on the periphery, you're not going to have the two strongest teams. I love Wade being on the show. In fact, I think he's a fantastic guy, good player. But if your two new teams are being made up of John Catlin, Ollie, Wade, Anthony Kim, and Max Lee, they're not the they're not the two strongest unless you're getting. And I'm not saying Tiger Woods. Let's all calm down. But it's not going to get peak Tiger Woods and peak Vijay Singh as the captains of those two new teams. And these
or
three,
Rory,
do you know what I mean? Unless you're getting peak whoever. Now,
Morikawa.
That's what kind. Morikawa.
No. Look, I mean, I think
the amount of grief, the amount of people that keep saying that I keep saying Morikawa's coming to LIV. I've never once said he's coming. I've not said he's not coming
because they're scared. A lot of these people that I talk to on Twitter, their fear comes out in the retweets, and that's the thing that I'm blown away that the PGA Tour hasn't figured this out yet. Like literally, all it takes is Yasser and the Piff saying, we've got this war chest of money, and I was literally just reading the other day that Piff has injected LIV with an additional basically $600 million in capital, and they're going to continue doing this throughout the year. So they have a war chest that all it takes is like the board approving, hey, we need to go out and get some more talent. We've been talking to these guys now for a year, 2 years. We know who wants to come over because we've had several people say they've had regrets about not taking their opportunity and their deal when they could have. For all the reasons that we've talked about.
The ironic thing is how many players who've turned the money down, who regretted it, and then played badly.
There's a lot of those.
Played badly on the PGA Tour. It's really, really people dropping form, whatever else. But we know Max had an offer. We know Matty Fitzpatrick had an offer. There's a few of them had an offer. And
Viktor Hovland.
The Viktor one's always been really weird for me because Viktor's never actually spoken, well, not weird, but he's never spoken negatively about LIV. Everything you hear about Viktor Hovland, he's just a guy who exists in his own. Like he goes back to Norway as much as he can, listens to thrash heavy metal whenever he can. He's very much happy on his own. You get the feeling
except if he likes being like, I think he's the type of guy that loves to be in Europe. He loves to be like, he loves the Middle East. Like, I mean, it just seems to me, it's always seemed to me that like all it would take would be Viktor Hovland talking to the right people to get him over the line. And I don't think that that has necessarily happened yet. It does seem like if he had the right offer, like it would probably happen. However, again, he's been one of the guys that like the OWGR stuff is like really, really important to him. It's really, really important it was more important to Xander Schauffele before. Now that he's won 2 majors, like it's not as important. So, except the OWGR stuff is this other sort of entity out there that like if LIV were to be able to solve that. And I know conversations are going on. I know there's been articles come out talking about the OWGR and LIV and Trevor Immelman talking to Scott O'Neill and all this stuff. All that has happened. However, I don't want people to like get too excited that this is imminent because I don't think that it is. So there are things that like LIV would have to tweak in order to be eligible for OWGR stuff. I don't know if they're willing to do that. I know that they, all I've wanted is for them, like if OWGR was serious to them, I wanted it to be in the right people's hands and I wanted them to make a final decision one way or the other, if this is something they're going to pursue or if it's something they're not going to pursue, because that's the one thing that's out there that like all LIV fans want to know. Hey, if we are going to have to make tweaks, it's better to make tweaks sooner than later. So once we have a fully formed league. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I'm hopeful that they are able to solve that because I think that just alone fixes a lot of the problems that we kind of talk about. And like, them LIV being part of the ecosystem and all that, I think all that stuff would be great. It would be great for everybody. It would be great for the players, the fans, everybody. I'm just not sure how far away we actually are from that. So,
you know my opinion on this, and I couldn't have been more vocal on. Sometimes you have to force people's hands. If LIV really wants OWGR, they don't need to go and get Viktor and Xander and Colin. that would force it. But they could just easily go and get 4 players ranked 30 to 60 out of the OWGR, get them onto LIV, and then again, that weakens the PGA Tour fields. That weakens everything. All of a sudden, then the OWGR becomes even more of a farce. I just think that there are ways you can go and do it. You go and drop 80 million on. I put that. I've never actually published my list on what I would do if I ran LIV. I've got it somewhere. I actually shared it with you guys, didn't I? Where is it?
Well,
this is it.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you go.
So people are saying that LIV could invest 1.5 billion. The PIF could invest into PGA Tour. That was it. And my argument is, what's a better use of 1.5 billion? Investing in the PGA Tour, which is struggling financially, we know that, or 200 million on Hideki, 200 on Xander, 120 on Morikawa, 100 on Viktor, 60 on Tommy, 40 on Akshay, 40 on Sahith, 40 on Minwoo Lee, 32 on Sung Jae Im, 32 on Siwoo Kim, 28 on Sepp Straka, 20 on each of the Hojgaard brothers, 20 on Laurie Cantor, 8 on Potter Iger, and 8 on Jake Knapp. That leaves them with 560 million to re-sign existing players. You put all those players I just mentioned on a 3 or 4 year contract. If you want to use 1.5 billion, you can do it like that. And also,
I agree.
I just want to say something for those of people that don't understand how maths work. Everyone's contract isn't forward paid. John Rahm didn't get 500 or whatever million it was day one. He got his pro rata for the first year, and then the other money is
6 years, 50 million each year.
Is sat in an interest earning account. So if you're dropping 1.5 billion on those players, you're only going to be dropping, let's say, 1/5 that 1.5 billion, so 300 million in the first year. The other 1.2 can sit in a 4 or 5% account, earning money or being deployed elsewhere in the PIF empire. So when people say, "Oh, LIV got these massive contracts," they've not been paying them out in their full entirety. They've been sat earning interest. So you could drop that money I've just said on those existing players, which can cost you 300 million in the first year, or 400 million, depending how many years you give them. And I think that'd be a much better use of money. And then OWGR turns the next day and says, "Here's your points," because the OWGR can't have those players I've just listed not in their rankings. What they'll be in their rankings, but dropping down their rankings because they just look so far.
Yes.
And you could take that list and you could take out Hideki, Xander, Morikawa, Viktor, and Tommy. And if you just went Akshay, Sahith, Minwoo Lee, Sung Jae Im, Siwoo Kim, Sepp Straka, Hojgaard brothers, Cantor, Potter Iger, and Jake Knapp, and go, there you are. Those players out of OWGR not getting points is farcical. That's how I would use my money. I wouldn't be using it on giving 1.5 billion to PGA Tour enterprises.
No, I mean, look, I totally understand why they're trying to do that, and I get everything going on with the PIF and Yasser and the PGA Tour Enterprises, SSG, all that stuff. That being said, as a golf fan, I never thought that was the path that, like, if I were the one making the final decision, I would basically be strategically going behind the scenes to force the OWGR's hand and force the majors' hands. Like, honestly, like one of the biggest move they've made, and we didn't realize it at the time, was LIV signing Joaquin Niemann, because the majors have had to bend over backwards, particularly the Masters and the PGA, to get Waco into the Masters, because he is a very critical superstar player that is, like, very critical to regions that are important to them. Like, Latin America market is, like, super, super important to, like, a lot of people in the golf establishment. So if you start plucking, like, the most important young players from various markets, whether it be Waco or Tom McKibben or, whoever it is, like, we could go on a list. We could talk about Ballester. We could talk about Masaveo. Like, all these guys start picking, Caleb Surratt, just, like, picking guys off. Then all of a sudden the majors start looking back like, man, we really need to adjust to this. And the proof is in what's already happened to date. Like, the Masters inviting Waco, just doing this sort of special exemption. They also did it to to Nikolai Højgaard, so it didn't look like it was just for Waco. But like those are the things. So if you're picking, and I think that's why Viktor Hovland is so important to this whole thing. He's the one guy. He's so important to like the European market and stuff like that. If you pick him off and then he doesn't have access to OWGR outside of European Tour, which he would play, and maybe he's able to maintain top 50 the way Terrell Hatton has. If you pick him off, like the majors are going to have to adjust again. So those are like the little strategic moves that you could make. And there's a list of guys that I think are very, very critical to that. I think you talk about Viktor Hovland, you talk about Tommy Fleetwood, you talk about Colin Morikawa, even Will Zalatoris, like guys like that. If you start picking them off, it's going to force people's hands. So that's one of the things that I just want everybody to kind of keep an eye on as we sort of move into the next month, 6 months, 8 months time. That like, I think we are going to start seeing more chess moves. And I haven't even talked about sort of what's going on with SSG and the PIF that I talked about in the Twitter Spaces. It's something people need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we can talk about that. And I think that's, you talk about different nationalities now. Both these guys are American, but actually Batia and Sahith Theegala, both of them
those are two other ones. Yes, 100%.
Both of them, like Akshay's family, both born in India. So Sahith's, like, they're very, very strong Indian culture. And we saw an Indian event on the international series. We know for a fact, we've been told this by maybe 20 people at LIV, that there's strong conversations about trying to get an event in 2026 in India. We know that it's been discussed. And I'd be amazed if there isn't one in, if there's not one in 2026, there'll be 1,000%.
By 2027, I'd be willing to bet I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that they
50-50 2026.
Because India's an important
100%. Well,
it's an important market. Even
Rory,
country
in the world.
Yeah, I mean it's top 2, and
it's bigger than China now.
Is it?
Yeah,
I thought might be. Yeah,
way bigger than China. Way bigger than China. China's
it's not way bigger. It would be close. Like it's like 1.5, 1.44 billion, something like
India
that.
population.
I'll let you look that up. One of the things I did want to point out to people is that Rory McIlroy. So the European Tour is adding another India event towards the end of this year, and Rory has already committed to play in that. So that alone, and I'm sure he's getting a huge appearance fee for it, just like I'm sure Bryson got for going to International Series India. So those are the things that are out there. It's obviously a very important market. There's a lot going on with sort of Hero MotoCorp and like them wanting to bring more high-level golf to India, and you need stars to do that. Rory, Bryson is a star.
It's 120 million people difference.
Okay, it's not that many.
But the thing is, the India population is growing, whereas the Chinese population is decreasing.
It's starting to stagnate a little bit.
They are bigger.
It's one A and 1B basically in population. They're very, very. It's an important market.
I'm glad we covered east, the Far East and India's populations. That wasn't on any bingo chart. It wasn't even bingo.
I mean, it is. Like I said before, that market is so critical to the future of golf. Like I can't stress to people how important that market is.
Did you see some of the moronic replies to my sharing the information that LIV are on LIV now got a new contract in the Far East to be on 94 million homes. And
no, I don't even look at the negative comments. And it's not enough.
Mate, honestly, the comments. Yeah. I bet you can't even see the comments because I bet you got 90.
No, they're mostly blocked and muted. I don't have time to be talking to these clowns anymore. Like when I first came on Twitter and became Pro Golf Critic like 3 years ago, I had a little bit more time to talk to people. Now, like the amount of mentions and like messages that I get, like I'm sorry if I don't reply to everybody. But probably your best bet if you want to respond to me is leave a comment on our YouTube channel. That's probably the best chance you have.
Genuinely, the best way to speak to you is YouTube because you respond to every one of those.
Yeah. Because Twitter, look, I've like last year I had over 30 million impressions. Like I can't, and like over like 300,000 mentions. Like I can't respond to everybody the way I used to.
Like one guy,
and half these guys I don't need to talk to anymore because I already know where they stand.
One guy wrote a reply to me about a week ago saying, "You never respond to me. You never respond to me. Like, why can't you respond to me?" And then, and thank God, it saved me the effort. 2 people, I think one was John Conrad, who loved John, great bloke.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I can't remember who the other one was. It might have been LIV Golf Forecasting, one of our good mates. And replied. Ben replies to everyone. Like, Ben isn't that guy who just doesn't reply. Like, and I then replied saying, I reply to everyone that I see, but this is one of the posts. Like, I don't, my numbers aren't what yours are at all. But this post has something like 74 replies, and like I haven't got the time. I run a business. I've got a family.
Yeah.
I'm desperately trying to get as many sponsors to give us as little money as possible, and trying to do that. Like, I haven't got time to read every single response, especially if we start off with, all you LIV supporters are the same. Well, if anyone knows me, I'm not the same as every LIV supporter. I don't bag on the PGA Tour all the time. I watch the PGA Tour. I don't hate Ludwig Oberg like half of the LIV fans do. I know you. I know. I'm not.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should start Maybe you should start hating the PGA Tour the way that I have, because I've shared with you some of the information that should turn you to the dark side.
Do I dislike and detest PGA Tour management? Yes, 100%.
It's all part of the same. It's all part of the same org. We can't exempt them.
It doesn't mean I can't enjoy watching the golf.
The golf is kind of average at the moment too.
Not that I watched Scotty's win. Like that. Talk about a weak field. But anyway, right. We did an hour and 11 minutes. It's late. I'm at my parents' or my mother. No, Dad's not here, is he? My mother's house now. I'm going to go to bed. It's Bank Holiday Monday tomorrow, and instead of playing golf, I've got a day out with my daughter, which actually I enjoy just as much, because I can't have 4 days in Spain golfing and then try and get out of the house on Bank Holiday Monday. That's going to go down really bad.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to cover that we haven't covered?
Yeah. So the only other thing I wanted to mention, obviously, we've got the PGA Championship now coming up in a couple weeks. Currently, we've got 13 LIV guys that have exemptions, including John Catlin, who's obviously just played in Korea, so I'm counting him in. So 13 LIV players. I'm going to start releasing some of the names. I already did earlier today. Go to my Twitter, Pro Golf Critic. I released all the names of the folks that are currently in the PGA. There's a couple names that are not currently in there just yet. Those invitations are going to be coming out pretty soon. So as soon as I find out more information, I will start updating it. If I had to guess, I think we're looking at between 16 and 18 LIV guys to get in. I think David Puig is probably going to get in. I think Tom McKibben, maybe. Obviously, we talked about Dustin Johnson, and there's a few other names like Lucas Herbert should 1,000% be in the PGA Championship. There's no doubt in my mind he should be in there. And honestly, like Sebastian Munoz, Munoz is 6th in the LIV standings. Like, I think he's been so consistent all year that like some of these guys that are in the top 10, like Carlos Ortiz has had a really, really solid season. He's won on the Asian Tour. He's won on the International Series. He's in the Open Championship, aka British Open, and like guys like Mark Leishman, guys like Mark. Yeah, I'm trolling you now. So guys like Mark Leishman and like people like that. I think that they need to. I'm hopeful that the PGA, they really, really analyze today, tomorrow, who should be in. Similar to last year when they managed to get Taylor Gooch in, they need to look at the LIV standings, see who's playing well, look at data golf, look at all the analytics and data that tells you who's actually playing well right now, and like there should be at least
just take
20 LIV players in.
Oh, I'm not going to pick a number of 20. I'm just going to say, if they want to be really easy, they could say we're going to take the top 10 that aren't already coming. So Niemann's there, Bryson's there, Rahm's there, is Sergio there? I can't remember. Is Sergio going?
Sergio's there. Sergio got the invite earlier this year. Lucas Herbert's not.
So Herbert should be invited. Munoz should be invited. Burmeister should be invited. Ortiz should be invited. And Leishman should be invited. That's the top 10.
And Puig. Unless he'll probably get in from his OWGR, but it's a little borderline.
I think Puig is probably already there. But anyway, look, if you want to go and place a bet for any golf tournament in the world right now, in the English bookmakers, I'm not sure what the odds are over in America, but in the English bookmakers, you can get 140, 150 to 1 on Patrick Reed for the British Open. I said British to make you happy.
Thank you.
140,
that's a good bet.
to 1 on Patrick Reed. You can get him to finish top 6, 20 to 1. Like,
was it for a top?
top
like
six. Just here's my money. Here it is. Like that is an outstanding price.
100%. Yeah, Portrush. You just never know with the draw and all that stuff. Except I think that he's going to play well in. I think Patrick Reed.
I got a conspiracy for you about draws. They ain't drawn. They ain't drawn.
Okay. So
how many late earlies did Tiger have in his career?
Yeah.
How many late earlies did Tiger have in his major career? I'm gonna go with.
We don't have to
none.
worry about him this year. So
no, but do you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go with none.
No, I get it.
How many late earlies has Rory had? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, it's true. Like, yeah, I think. Yeah.
How many 6:45 a.m. tee times has Rory had, and then on the last day teeing off at 4:30 p.m. How many?
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat. They ain't drawn, mate. They aren't drawn.
Probably not. However, yeah, we'll have to see. I think because sometimes, look, you don't know how the weather's going to like.
Poor Rush. All I'm praying for is on hole 16, Calamity Corner. I want those boys playing into the wind. I had to play into the wind. I know you listened to it a bit, but I know you probably skip 30 over my Port Rush review. But hole 16, Calamity Corner, 220 yards into the wind to the flag, 180-ish carry to get onto the fringe. I hit a hybrid, which I carry about 225.
I think they're going to play it longer than that, too.
Well,
I think they play like 240. Yeah.
Yeah, that 240
235, right. 240.
They didn't once that year when Shane won it. They didn't once go off the back tee. So they've if this is the tee box and this is the white members tee here at 210. We played about here. You can go back to here, but they didn't once play it because it's got a little step to it. They once played at the front of the step, which is about 220. They can go back to 235, but they didn't do it the whole week, and they're unlikely to go back there because all of a sudden, if you're at that 240 and you're into the wind, you're looking at 260 carry, 270 carry with the wind on a par 3. But I just hope get them on that 220.
Make them do it.
I know.
Why not?
It's a major. They just won't.
Yeah, but make them hit driver. If you make them hit 3-woods, make them hit drivers. I want them to stop coddling these guys. They
are gonna have to hit 3-woods if they play off that 220 wind in, and I can't wait to see it. I just hope it's wind in final day, and if you're 3 clear, I'm still not backing you because that is a daunting tee shot.
Especially if it's Rory.
I couldn't carry my hybrid. I couldn't carry my hybrid. 180-ish to make the carry into the wind. I carry my hybrid about 225. I couldn't get it there. I was like 8 yards short. So I got another ball out and went, I got to be able to get it there. Maybe I'd miss hit it. And I hit the second one even better than the first. And I was about 5 yards short of the carry. I'm like, you cannot get it. I want to see him off that because they're going to be having to hit 4 irons and hybrids. It's going to be amazing to see them having to strike massively long clubs.
Yeah, it's one of those courses in the Rota that they haven't been there often. Obviously, they've only been there it's been about 2019, but they hadn't been there since 1951. So it's been a long time, and I think it's one of those courses that really challenges the pros, and we need to see more of that in the Rota.
Level par through the first 5. Have I mentioned that or not?
I've talked to a lot of people that get a little bit annoyed at how much we talk about our own golf game. So I'm trying to talk about it less. You're doubling down and talking about it more. I've noticed. So
they're listening to the wrong podcast. To be fair, we don't talk about it a lot. I said how great Spain was and that I was garbage day 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Port Rush. The only reason I talk about it is because that's where we're going to be this year.
No, it's relevant. It's 100% relevant. I completely agree. I haven't played.
Should we very quickly? Should we tell the story? I'm going to read the text out because I sent you a text and I got to read it out for everybody because your response just baffled me. You know what this is going to come to, don't you? The offer I had the other day.
About the Oakmont thing. Oh,
yeah, okay, hang on. Viewers. Okay. Jay's one of my best friends, but at times he pisses me right off. Right, hang on. Where are we? Oh God, we exchanged 1,000 messages. Unbelievable.
I know. Yeah,
hang on.
It's I can tell people what it was.
Here we are. A guy I train a bit with in my London club. Spoke to him several times. Good bloke. Turns out, I won't say the connection. or the other connection is a member at Oakmont, and he said he can get me and what, and he spoke to the connection, and he's happy to get me +1 on whenever I want to. Do you want to play it, Jay? No. I've got no interest. Got no interest in playing Oakmont. No. I get a really kind offer, and I get a really kind offer from somebody who's very connected in Philadelphia and Philadelphia sports teams, and is a member at Oakmont, offering the chance to let us play. And your answer is, nah, not interested.
Let me explain myself, because I think, and we can close it out.
Roast him in the comments of why. Just going flat out, no, not interested. Playing Oakmont is a ridiculous thing to say.
We could close out the podcast on this. There's two things that I really want to bring to people's attention. People know how I feel about the golf establishment in the United States. People know how much I loathe it. I think that a lot of these higher end clubs, they hold these opportunities over people's heads in order to get them to behave the way that they want. I know this for a fact with the golf media. You talk about Eamon Lynch and his ties into Seminole Golf Club, all that stuff. He's Pine Valley, all that stuff. That's not a coincidence. Trust me on this. So me personally, I'm not going to allow myself to be corrupted. I know that's the term everybody associates with me. I'm not going to allow my integrity to be corrupted by people sort of offering these opportunities. So that's one. That doesn't really apply to Oakmont in this particular instance. I don't think that applies. The second thing that applies is that people know how I feel about golf in the Midwest. I'm not a fan of it in the Midwest United States. Basically anything, my window of golf courses that I'm like, I don't need to play them like ever, is from like Ohio to like Arizona. Like anything in there, like I'm just not finding myself in these places. Like I would have to plan a special trip. Everybody knows that I'm an American coastal elite. I love New York. I love California. That's where I've lived 90% of my life. I just can't get myself to really go there. Oakmont is kind of in that like window where it's like, well, it's near Pittsburgh, except Pittsburgh is very close to Ohio. That's kind of like the very edge of like where I'm willing to go play golf. So if that opportunity comes, I will take it.
It's not just.
However,
it was the way you went. No,
I don't have to be
interested.
happy about it.
So if anyone wants to come with me and play Oakmont and be really happy about it, let us know. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
I'll send my dad
Jay.
Instead. He'd love it.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'd have a great day with your dad. It'd be amazing. Right, everybody, thank you so much. Hope you've all had a lovely time listening to us. Don't forget to go to ShotScope Golf Lover at checkout for 15% off. And if you want to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, please do. We do it because we love it, but it'd be nice that everything didn't cost us a fortune to do.
Shop for wellness, shop extracurricular. I'm shouting you guys out in good faith. Please push through our sponsorship application, please. And that'll be another thing that becomes official. But actually, I love those two products, and ShotScope now I've become a huge fan of. And Ping, send me my golf bag, please. I need a new golf bag. I'm committed to doing a golf fitting with you guys, paying my own way to go. Just at least send me a free golf bag. That would be amazing.
Right, we're going. They said you have to play Oakmont and be happy about it.
If that's what it came, yeah, if that's what it takes, I'll consider.
How many people in the world do you think would get a text message, mate, do you want to go play Oakmont? And just reply with no, not really interested.
That's why I'm different. That's why I'm built different. Like, yeah, that's why I'm built different. Like it just is what it is. So you get the good with the bad. It is what it is.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.